It's Brian Preston, the Money Guy.
All right, this next one is from Aaron. And Aaron says, how do you account for unknowns in financial planning? I will eventually get inheritance, but don't know when or how much. But it also seems wrong to completely ignore that, right? So we see this all the time. Folks who know that their parents have done well, and it seems likely they'll have an inheritance at some point, but they don't know when, so it's hard to project. But how do you plan for that? And how do you think about that? And do you have any experience shares with how that factors in?
I would actually ask, I want to hear how you would start this, because I think you do a better job. I am I'll just give my short answer and then you fill in, because I think you would do a great job with this, is that I think most people should just not even count on the parents' wealth. Mm-hmm. I mean, to go, I think you showed me a Shaq quote.
Yeah.
Where his kids were asking about their wealth. There's some quote, and I'm probably screwing it up, but they were talking about the wealth of the family, and he goes,
He said, we ain't rich.
Yeah.
I'm rich.
And I think that's an important thing, because you never know what a parent is going to decide to do with their estate. And I also think it's a little dark to be counting on that. So I want you to focus on building your own wealth first, but you do a better job, Bo, of maybe that's too just old school. I agree with that. The nuance on that.
Again, it's not uncommon when we work with clients. We work with clients all across the spectrum, and some of them are generational wealth clients. It passes from one generation to the next and to the next. And one of the things what I would say is you don't want to build your plan upon the fact that something has to happen at a certain date or by a certain time for your plan to work, because then it gets you pulling for some really weird stuff. So what we always encourage our clients is this: hey, if you can focus on saving 25% of your gross income, and you can focus on living inside of your means that you're able to generate and create on your own, if there are other things that are coming into the fray, like perhaps you have parents that are working on annual gifting strategies, so perhaps your income is, I'm going to say, subsidized by parents gifting money to you, that's great. Don't allow that to accelerate your lifestyle. Allow that to accelerate your savings behavior. Allow that to accelerate your wealth building potential. If it's one of those situations, if it's an inheritance, I always try to tell folks, let's build your plan, not taking that into consideration, so that if something does happen at some point in the future, perhaps it unlocks other opportunities. Maybe we're not going to plan on upgrading the house at this point, but if this thing were to happen and there were money to come in, maybe those are the dollars we'll use to fund that. But in terms of keeping the lights on, covering the mortgage, paying the bills, doing all the things you want to do, you want to make sure that you can build that up on your own without having to count on, your parents kicking it or your spouse's parents kicking it in order to make those things possible. And what that's going to allow you to do is if you can steward a little bit, right, what you have presently really, really well, when those dollars do come in at some point in the future, you will be much better positioned to manage those well. And we see this all the time, Brian. We have clients who they end up getting an inheritance like, man, I don't need this, right? Like we got this money, but we're set and we've already, man, this is going to provide us a great opportunity to do some of the giving stuff that maybe we couldn't have done otherwise, or to help our kids out with down payments on houses, or helping pay for school, or funding 529s. If you're on really solid foundational financial footing, it's going to allow you to do more as those things happen than just, looking at your watch, waiting for a negative event to turn into a net positive for you.
Well, and also I think it lets you remain that intent that we know that the dollars you save and invest in your 20s and 30s have a exponential compounding opportunity than 40s and 50s and 60s for sure.
That's right.
So what I don't want to see is that your family has money, so you kind of miss out on those peak compounding growth opportunity years because you're kind of looking over at their plate and what they have, when you should be using that opportunity to maximize, because it's just there's a risk there counting that money before it's actually you have a string attached to it.
And unless you've had the conversation, and this is a scary one, I've had friends reach out to me before and say, hey, my mom and dad, they got money. Mom and dad, they've always had money. I really want them to talk to you, Bo. And I end up talking with the parents. And it turns out the parents do not have as much money as the kids thought that they had. Make sure you have realistic expectations. Or perhaps, you think that, mom and dad are going to leave all their money to me. But mom and dad might have committed those dollars elsewhere for other purposes to go in different directions. So make sure you understand the basis of the things that you're counting on before you just start counting those eggs before
That's
they
a
hatch.
great point.